subject. All right, so today's webinar, VPNs. And the first thing we have to ask is, what does a VPN stand for? What is a VPN? Now, a VPN, that's another one of those wonderful computer acronyms that we all love and most of us don't understand. But VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. Now, just a quick explanation. Normally, when you think of a network for computers, we think of things like Ethernet cords, fiber optic cable, routers and switches and things like that. And that's what makes up a network, though, that bit of hardware. But in the case of a VPN, we're not having our own cables and our own switches and all that. We're using someone else's, and that's why it's called virtual. Meaning it's not real. It's something we're stepping on top of other hardware. So most of the time we use a VPN on the internet. Now the internet is where all the cabling and switches and routers and all that stuff are. So what we're doing is we are using the internet to transport our information, but we're doing it in a way that everyone on the internet can't read it or can't see it or can't intercept it. So that's what we're going to take a look at in today's webinar. Okay, what does a VPN do? What it does basically, there are a number of uses for it, but what it does is it encrypts your information. In other words, you're probably pretty familiar with encryption, just been with us a long time. And the VPN lets us use the internet, which normally would be wide open and anyone could see what we're doing if they have the right software or the right equipment. But the VPN encrypts everything. So that means it allows you to visit, say, your bank or some other financial institution when you're sitting in some place that normally would not be safe to do that, like an airport or a hotel or something. So it encrypts, meaning that it uses a key to encrypt everything. And if someone intercepts it, they would have to have the key to unencrypt it, which of course normally they would not have that, so they can't read what you're doing. And that's basically what it does. Um, Now, here's one thing you need to know. This is kind of the negative part about VPNs. Because it has to encrypt everything you're doing, it slows the internet down that you're using when you're using a VPN. And I'll give you an example here. Here at my shop yesterday, I took this yesterday. I checked our download speed and upload speed, the internet speed, which actually at the time I took it, we had a number of computers logged into remote. So our speed was actually down a bit. Usually we were up around 100, 120, something like that. But the download speed at the time I took this was, as you can see, 73.24, which is still excellent speed, but it's not as fast as it usually is. Upload 15.45. Okay, that's great. We'd all be happy with that. But then what I did was I turned the VPN software on, and I'm using software that I've tested a lot of VPN software, and we're going to talk about this software later. And this is about the fastest that I found. And when I turned that on and did the speed test again, look what happened. My download speed dropped all the way to 9.08, and the upload speed dropped to 3.52. The reason for that is very simple. Everything that you're doing has to be encrypted. Encryption takes time, and it uses a more bandwidth when it does that, and therefore it slows down your internet speed. So the truth is, you probably would not want to use a VPN all the time. And of course, if you're at home and you're on your own network, or you're at work and you're on a secure network, you don't need to use a VPN. A VPN is to be used at specific times or for specific reasons, which we're going to talk about in just a second here. So that leads us to the question, when might you use a VPN? Whenever you go online where a password is needed and you're not at a secure location. Okay, let me just say that again so it sinks in because this is very important. You might use a VPN whenever you go online where a password is needed and you are not at a secure location. Now, one of the difficult things is that there's some confusion about some things, and this is the second part of this slide. This includes, but is not limited to, email, bank accounts, and other financial institutions, and medical and insurance sites. One of the things that people will say to me is I'll be helping them with something on their email, and I'll ask, what is your email password? And they say, well, I don't have a password. All email accounts have passwords. Your computer may automatically put the password in for you, and it's possible that you haven't actually had to type the password for years and you've forgotten that you had a password. But if you're in a place that is not secure and you're on your computer and you go to your email, the password which is put in automatically for you can be intercepted by someone else. And the same thing with a financial institution. Here's something that you need to think about. People will say to me, but John, my bank is a secure site. It starts out HTTPS. It has a lock. It has a color in the URL bar to let me know that I am on my bank and it's secure. And that's very true. The bank is secure. However, if you're getting to the bank site on some insecure internet access, then everything that you do when you get to the bank site can be intercepted, including your login information, your password, etc. So just because the site is secure doesn't mean that how you get to the site is secure. So this is when you might use a VPN. Now, where might you use it? All right. So I've already sort of alluded to some of these. A hotel. Now let's talk about hotels for a minute. You go to a hotel. There are usually two types of internet if you're staying at a hotel. There is wireless, which you might have to put in your name and your room number, and there is sometimes wired with an Ethernet cord. Okay, neither of those access are secure enough for you to be doing things like email or financial sites. The reason is, even though you get on let's say the wireless at a hotel with your room number and your name, you are now on a network that may have hundreds, if not thousands, of other people on the same network. So if you have, you're staying in a hotel where somewhere else in the hotel there's a young hacker who's sitting there with running software to intercept information that's out there in the open, your stuff is there. So if you log into your bank or even log into email, it's open for anyone else who's on that network. And even an Ethernet cord. Okay, again, you think, okay, well, that's secure. It's not wireless. But the Ethernet cord has to run to a switching mechanism, and everybody is on the same switch or series of switches. So once again, the entire hotel is on that network. So it's not a secure place. The airport, obviously not secure. Restaurants and stores with Wi-Fi. And again, when you're on even a secure network with other people you don't know or trust, that's a time to use a VPN for these particular um, circumstances, like going to the bank or going to your email. I just want to say one thing about the restaurant. I have a customer, to give you a perfect example. She lives right outside of Orlando. She and her husband, who was from Sweden, they were going home to his home for 2 weeks. They go to the Orlando airport, And all she did was use her laptop and log into her bank and check the balance. That's all she did. She didn't move any funds. She didn't do anything else. She just checked the balance. She closes her laptop. She gets her and her husband get on the plane. They go to Sweden. They come back 2 weeks later, and $4,000 had been moved out of their bank account within an hour of them getting on the plane and leaving. The $4,000 was transferred to another bank account, which by the time they got back in 2 weeks, the money had been withdrawn and the account was closed. Their mortgage payment bounced while they were away because this person took $4,000 out of their account. That's why never in an airport, never in a place like that should you go on that Wi-Fi and check anything financial. So that's where VPNs come in. Now, what VPN do we recommend? Here's what happens. I recommend something called Pure VPN. There are a lot of VPN software out there, and I've tried a dozen of them. They all basically do the same thing. The reason I like this one is because of all the ones I've tested, which again, I've tested at least a dozen, they appear to be the fastest when you're on, and they're the easiest one to figure out how to get someplace secure and safe. Right now, they actually are running a special, which you can see our website 4kcc.com/VPN, and it's you buy a year, you get a year. VPNs are not free. Okay, you do pay for the software. The good news is it's not really expensive, even when it's not BOGO. It it's not really a lot of money. And especially if you want to be able to do these things on a virtual network, it's cool to be able to do that. I do have a screenshot I just wanted to show you. This is the Pure VPN. This is the dashboard. And let me just try to point out here a little bit to you. Uh, Up at the top here, I'm going to just circle it. Hopefully you can see that. There's a place where you can choose your location or you can select your purpose. Now, I generally select my purpose rather than do the location. And the reason for that is you have to be pretty familiar with the locations as to which one you should pick to get the faster service. And again, what I'm looking for, I'm just like you. Okay, I don't want to wait to go to my website, to my bank site. I want to just be able to get there and get it done. I've already shown you that using a VPN slows you down. So what I want to do is I want to find the fastest VPN that I can find. So in this case, I left it on select purpose. And what I did was I chose watch Amazon Prime, which is a video. And under that, it allowed me to select the United States. So that's what I did there. I now went and I selected the United States. So what the software does, the software finds a server in the United States that offers fast VPN service. Again, I don't have to figure out which server. The software does it for me. If I had tried to watch Amazon Prime and I didn't think it was fast enough, I would try one of these others. Like for instance, there's watch sports channels, faster streaming. There's all kinds of things you can pick from, and that list scrolls up and down. I'm only showing you part of it. Again, though, the good news is you don't have to be a computer genius to figure out what server you should connect to, because if you select the purpose, you let the software do it for you. Okay, and now if you go to under select location, they will allow you to pick servers in certain cities, and that varies. That changes sometimes. If one server is being used a lot, they may not, like for instance, I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. There could be a server in Harrisburg, and I might look under select location sometime, and it might tell me, okay, Harrisburg's not available right now. It just depends how much it's being used. So the answer to that question is yes, you can pick a city, but the reason that we go with the selected purpose is the software chooses a fast server for you, generally speaking, closer as possible, but not always. So that answers that question. Yes, you can do that. All right, so that's how you get in there and pick it. Now, I do want to show you one other thing that happens. On the screen now, you'll see at the very top, well, it's not there yet. There it is. Okay, at the very top, it was my IP address without the VPN on. So that is the address through we're on Comcast. That's the address that Comcast gives our router, and that's my IP address. Now, why do you need an IP address? Because that's how things know how to get to you. Send your email, it goes to your IP address, etc. When I turned on the VPN and went back again, you notice that my IP address doesn't look anything like what it really is. And that's because with this server, it is being, I'm using an IP address off the server that I connected to. And the great thing about that is if you want to sort of be on the internet kind of hiding, if you will, it's a good way because if somebody does that, backtracks that IP address, the bottom one on the VPN, they won't find you. They won't even find where you're located. All right, but for my purposes, the primary purpose of a VPN is to keep your information secure. Okay, again, we're looking at the pure VPN. And if you look on that, I just wanted to show you, once you connect, this is the screen that can come up. And a couple things you'll see. Private browsing is enabled. And that's what it means, why it changed the IP address. That's what it considers private browsing. Encryption is enabled. Okay. Now, on this particular time when I connected, you'll see that my location was Buffalo. So if someone had taken that IP address that I showed you and worked backwards, they would think that I was in Buffalo. The good news is, even though they might think I'm in Buffalo, they still can't read what I'm doing because it's encrypted. All right. And this software, there are actually levels of encryption you can use depending on how important that you want it to be. You can use different levels of encryption. So that's how the software works. And then once I'm on it, when I'm ready to get off of it, you can disconnect. Now, let's say you are in a hotel or something like that. Should you use the VPN all the time? I wouldn't use it all the time. I would use it under those circumstances that I mentioned, going for email, going for financial, if I was going to do anything where I might have to put in anything personal, like a phone number or social security number or something like that, I would definitely be using the VPN. But then when you're done with all that, if all you're doing is surfing the net, you want to see what happened on your favorite TV show last night, and so you're going to Google or Bing it. You don't need VPN for just that. So you could turn the VPN off, get your faster internet speed, and then only turn it back on when you need it. But again, it's a great piece of software for when you need to be secure. You know, I don't want to get in any politics here, but I just want to tell you that President Trump was very correct when he said something right before his inauguration that, it's don't trust a computer. Don't trust the internet. You have a special message, send it to somebody with somebody who can carry it to them. Well, that's really what a VPN is doing. A VPN is in essence securing your message and carrying it to the site that you want to go to. And it's very difficult for that encryption to be broken. And even the average hacker would have some great difficulty in doing that. And if you've been looking at our blog lately, and if you've read about passwords and how they get uh, taken, especially email passwords, one of the biggest ways they get taken is by you being tricked into giving it up. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to be tricked into that. And in this case, you don't want to give it up by using Wi-Fi someplace that, or even internet that you shouldn't do. All right. So then just a couple things. The next webinar is February 8th at 3 o'clock. This was a special request for Twitter. We did do a Twitter webinar. It's actually up on our webinar site about 5 years ago. Many things are the same, but a few things have changed. So we're going to go ahead and do that again. Okay. And then our next seminar, if you live on the Treasure Coast, Saturday, February 11th, Why Does Everything Happen to Me? And you will have no idea what it's on based on that. And I mentioned our blog. Please, we're just finishing up a series on how your password can be compromised for. It's really about email passwords, but it could be about anything. And you should go to 4kcc.com/blog. Read this. Each blog takes, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 minutes to read, maybe a little longer to comprehend. But you should take a look and look at our series. I have one more to put up in that series, and that'll be happening the next day or two. So, take a look at that. And then finally, our special page. We always have all kinds of specials on 4kcc.com/specials. So that's it for today. This was a quick overview of VPN. If I have enough people that are interested, I'll follow up and maybe with a more in-depth and show you exactly what we're doing. Finally, just one quick thing, a little survey I'm pushing out. If you could go ahead and answer this survey, have you ever used a VPN? Yes, no, and I'm not sure. And that should be coming out to you. So if you could just take a minute and that will help me in the follow-up. Again, yes, no, I'm not sure. So almost everyone has answered that. We have a few more, so I'll leave it up for another couple seconds there, or maybe a minute. And okay, now we're getting more and more people answering. So that's great. If you have any follow-up questions, you can certainly send them to me at john@4kcc.com. And otherwise, there'll be a follow-up to this that I'll be sending out to you. You can watch the whole thing again, and that will be great. Okay, so I'm going to close almost everyone has done this, so I'm going to close this now. Thank you and have a great day.